I like the one that said no fear, but she wouldn't let me wear that.
He trades off with the no fear.
The no
one.
fear one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when do you want to start?
Go ahead, just start asking them questions.
Tell us what you remember about your childhood.
I was born. I lived in Temple City, California, and there were big fields around our house, and kind of like that.
Yeah. Tell us what you did in the fields with your friends.
What did I do? I guess we built caves and tree houses like every other kid.
Yeah, you used to take eggs and build a fire or anything.
That's
What
right.
happened?
What did you do?
Wayne Warner. We'd take corn out of his dad's garden and eggs out of my dad's chicken coop and cook them like hobos in tin cans and eat them up in orange groves. That was fun.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Tell me, you didn't have Halloween. Halloween started when you were a kid, remember?
That's right.
Tell them about that.
Let's see. My older sister really was involved in that, and I remember you could buy marshmallows in packages that were in a tin hat. Everybody wore those tin hats on Halloween night. I don't know what they did to marshmallows, and I remember they had bags of, I didn't do this, bags of pumpkin and stuff, and they'd drop it from the top of the bank wearing their tin hats like they were bombs.
But you didn't do that.
No, I didn't do that.
You didn't mess with
I
the
was too
pumpkin
young.
guts, huh?
And then I can remember they started this thing called Trick and Treat, and you went around and I think you threatened to do a trick unless they gave you a treat, and they didn't know what to give us. Everybody had pumpkin pie. So they gave a lot of pumpkin pie the first year, and I never ate it for years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50
much.
pieces of pumpkin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Tell us about your home life.
I lived at home with my parents and my sweet sister and Aunt Ann and Linda and Clede and an array of dogs that came and went.
Tell us about your dad running over you.
My dad ran over me. Yeah, he had a car and they had running boards on the side, and I used to go out and ride in on the running board, but we had a big hedge in front of the house, and he didn't see me one day. I ran out to jump on the running board and went under the car, and he ran over me.
It did. It ran
Yeah.
over the top of his head,
But
side
I
of his
survived.
head, all the way down,
I survived.
all the way down his
And
middle.
so he picked me up and said, "LaDorna, don't tell your mother, she'll faint." So she ran in the house and said, "Mama, Daddy ran over Tony." And we had a dog named Tungsten. He was always in the street, and my mom got it confused, and she says, "Well, the stupid dog deserved it. It's always out there in the street." And then she looked at her, and then she did faint. So
what happened to you? Anything happened?
I lived. I
It
survived.
actually went over his whole middle. Aunt Ann told me that she saw the tire marks went down the side of his face, down his chest, down his stomach, and off
The
his
funny
leg.
thing is, those are big cars. Essex. If you want to know what kind it was an Essex.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
year?
I don't know. Had to be before 35.
Okay, tell us about your dad's job. How you never got to go on vacations, and he worked.
He got up real early in the morning, went down to the fish market, put up fish, sold it to restaurants and nightclubs, and came home, ate at night.
Did you go on any vacations?
Not really. There were a couple, but I don't remember them. There's one that I went on, I know, and they took me out fishing, and LaDorna was mad because I got to go out in the boat and not her. And so she prayed I'd fall overboard, and I did, and so she felt real guilty after that. The other thing about her, we were in a bad automobile accident, and I was out for a few days.
They thought he had died. They just threw
And,
him in the back of the car.
The school kids gave Ladorna and me chocolate Easter bunnies because it's Easter time, and she ate hers all gone, and I was still unconscious. So she just put a little nibble out of one ear, then the other, and finally it was all gone. And she never told me. She never told me. When I was about
Like it.
65 or so, she sent me this chocolate Easter bunny, paying me back for the one she stole while I was comatose.
So funny.
Funny.
Yeah,
Tell us about the way you made money, because your parents never gave you any money at all, did they?
they were awful, yeah.
They didn't know.
Well, we was the Depression. Everybody tried to make money. I used to get tin cans and clean them out and plant little Johnny jump ups like miniature pansies in them. And go door to door and sell them for 10 cents. People would buy them. And that's what I did when I was real little.
And then what?
Tried selling. When I was older, my dad would bring home fish boxes. I must have been 12 because during the war. And I'd cut them up and make, flats, about that big. And plant, he had a Condorlawn, came from Australia. And I would plant that in there, and summer months they'd grow, and I'd sell them for 65 cents a flat. That's good money. I'd have maybe 30 or 40 of those growing all the time. And a neighbor man started selling them too. And we competed. It's kind of funny though, whenever I was sold out, I'd call and tell him, and he'd do the same thing. And as soon as we'd raise our price 20 cents a box to 85 cents. I don't know why we couldn't have just price fixed to begin with, but I guess that's not legal,
So what other jobs did you have?
Jobs. I sacked potatoes, the grocery store. I cleaned presses on a newspaper. I did, malts in a malt shop. I was an usher in a theater. I sold newspapers on the street corner. Herald, Express, Night Final, Extra. Hi, buddy, like that. And then when the war started, after the war started, because it had to have been about 4 years after the war started, all the gardeners were shipped out. So I used to hire neighbor kids and haul lawnmowers around and have them do yards, so much a yard. And then I also worked for Jack Beckley, the city garbage man. I got all I could eat. And, no, it was a good job. It was a private company, and he charged $1 a month to pick up your garbage. And I collected every other month for 2 months. And I got 10% of what I collected. And I had a little motor scooter that I drove around town, and the police knew I was working, so they didn't bother me. They let me go. They didn't mess with me because...
With the motor scooter?
Yeah,
you mean?
Mr. Beckley had asked them not to, I guess. And then eventually I developed a brilliant system where they could mail it in. So
Boy, way back then.
yeah.
Tell us about your learning to fly.
I worked in a restaurant too.
Oh, okay. And you also did candy when you were at BYU.
Yeah, but when I was
that
working in a
clear
restaurant,
candy animals,
they paid me 2 hours work. I got 75 cents and a dish of ice cream.
Oh, so that started your ice
Yeah,
cream
the guys,
love?
they sold the restaurant, and the new guy Wouldn't give me any ice cream, just 75 cents for 2 hours. I quit. I went to work for the newspaper then.
You didn't get his ice cream, so he quit.
And what was the other question?
Tell us about flying. How did you learn to fly, and why did you develop a love for that?
I don't know.
Was it because of your dad?
Yeah, Dad.
Just one second.
So, it's okay.
Well, they gave flying lessons down at what used to be Rosemead Airport near us. And I'd save up, I'd get $10 or so, I'd go down and take a lesson.
Yeah.
I was about 16. And by the time I was 19, I guess I had my license.
Tell him the first time or when your dad used to take you flying.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, my dad and the Iceman, that's the guy that delivers the ice to your icebox, they went together and bought an old World War I canvas Moth aircraft. And it's got a front seat and a rear seat.
No top?
No, upper wing, lower wing. He used to take me up to that, like 6 o'clock Sunday morning. And he used to give flying lessons too, but he had to teach himself to fly it before he could. That wasn't very structured back then. And I can remember, that plane fly like 65 miles an hour. It wasn't very fast, but I can remember him flying upside down with me. I'd just be kind of swinging on that seat belt, thinking, man, I hope that holds, And I can remember looking at the hay fields back then. They used to stack the hay in circles. I can remember seeing these green carpets with round yellow dots on them. Took some figuring out for me what they were. Anyway, that's my first flying.
What was the first plane you bought?
My dad and I went together and bought a 1965 Stinson Voyager. It's 4-passenger. It was a maroon color airplane. It could do like 105 miles an hour.
That was fun, huh?
Out of canvas,
Tell us about your school experience. How your lunches and your shoes and stuff like that.
Lunches and shoes. Well, we went to South Santa Anita School, Ladorna and I think there's about 600 students. And we were the only Mormons. A girl moved in, another family moved in. Her name was Carol Ash. And she was the skinniest girl I ever saw in my life, really. I wasn't sure that was a good addition of Mormon. And I didn't wear shoes to school because other kids didn't. So I put them on in the morning, but I left them under the front porch steps. And then I put them on when I came back at night. I took good care of my shoes.
So your parents never found out you didn't wear shoes to school?
Well, not that I remember. History is kind of
Tell
how I
them
remember it.
about
Well,
your lunches.
Yeah, well,
They tried so hard to feed you
They
right.
made good lunches. I got roast beef sandwiches every day.
During the Depression.
And I used to trade them to kids for lunch meat sandwiches and stuff like that.
Peanut butter.
And,
I got a question too.
mhm.
How'd you meet Mom?
Well, in our ward there was a shortage of babysitters, and so boys did some babysitting sometime, and I babysat this little girl. Had to change her diapers and everything,
He's teasing.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's telling the story.
yeah.
No, it's a real story too.
Yeah, no. She grew up in our ward, and whenever I'd go home from the military, Mom and Aunt Ann would have this long list of girls I should be checking out. Because, I was getting on. And somehow Mom was too young to make it to any of the lists. So I checked her out instead. That's she knew our family. She was in our ward.
What was your first date?
We went to a drive-in theater, I think.
And I thought this old man was going to jump me the whole time.
I was a gentleman.
He was
Perfect
too much of a gentleman.
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We dated about,
What car did you drive back then? What
Let's
did you
see.
pick her up in for this drive-in movie? Any idea?
No.
Okay.
I was living in Texas probably.
yeah.
Come home to visit California probably.
Drove your
One
dad's
of my
car?
folks' cars.
Yeah.
How was your mom's health then?
Mom never did have very good health.
Not even back then.
No. Most of my life she's kind of sickly. My first car was a 1933 Turtleback Ford. I think we bought it for around $300. And my dad had to rebuild the engine. Probably cost a couple hundred to do that. I drove that till I went away to college, and I sold it. I don't remember the circumstances. And I bought a 1929 two-door Ford sedan for $75, and I kept that until after the
I believe he remembers the
whatever war
amounts.
there was.
Can you remember how old you are when you got your first car?
Yeah, 16.
16.
But I had a motor scooter. I was telling them about it a few years before that. The police let me drive it because I was working,
Oh.
collecting
For the garbage
for the
company.
garbage company. Money, not garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember the first
Is
time.
that where you got the money for your first car?
Probably. I always was making money though. But first time I got that car, I had about, I don't know how many friends, more than allowable. We got in it, we got in the turtleback, and we could sit in each other's laps, and we went to the beach, the Long Beach, and they stopped me from, phone booth full of people and gave me a ticket. And so I went back to Redlands and
Not
told
really.
to Temple City.
Yeah.
Told Mr. Beckley about it, and he says, well, I'll go talk to the Redlands police. So Redlands,
Oh.
we wrote Long Beach and told them I worked, and
You mean your Temple City police?
yeah, Temple City, hard-working boy. It'd be a hardship to come there. Would they please transfer this charge to Temple City? So Long Beach did that, and then Mr. Beckley took care of it.
Tell us what your mother's personality was like.
She was sweet and beautiful and loving, a little gullible. Yeah.
When was the trip you took in your car and your dad told you not to because you didn't have
We ended
tires?
up with like
Tires
10
weren't plentiful.
flat tires or
Well,
something.
he didn't tell me not to. He just told me I'd have 10 flat tires.
Oh.
I must have been 16, and I went to Holden, and I kept picking up old tires and putting pasteboard in where the hole was and everything else. He ended up coming out to Barstow and borrowing wheels off of Wayne Warner's car and taking me home with it.
Wayne Warner was your best friend.
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah.
Tell the scallywag things you did with some poor man. You put cans up on his door and
Never
knocked
did
and
anything
broke
scallywag.
his leg and
I think it was April Fool's Day or Valentine's Day, one or the other, I don't know.
must have been April Fool's.
And we stacked cans against the door, so I rang the doorbell, so when they opened it, the cans would fall into the house. And he chased us. And I was real little, and so I went under under a real bushy tree, and he tried to follow me through there, and when he stepped off the curb, he broke his leg,
Oh.
and I didn't stop running. And that was the way we went to town, down that street. And I for a year, I always went around the block to go to town, because I didn't know if he ever recognized me or not. It was pitch dark.
Is it true your Aunt Ladorna used to drop pumpkins on people off the building?
Yes, I
rock?
already told that story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell about the time you filled some poor guy's basement full of water.
I don't remember
My dad
that.
wouldn't do that.
I don't remember that. I don't think that ever happened. That's just one of the stories they told about me.
Tell them about the whole experience is so fun when they
But that grew out of a fight over the ice on the, and they come and took ice into your house, and they'd chip the blocks off, and you'd get the splinters.
the splinters of ice.
Yeah, when he went in your house. Well, our neighbor kids were trying to get our splinters when they were going to our house, and I think that led to the water in the basement. I don't know.
You can't recall for sure.
Doesn't
No.
sound exactly fair.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah. Tell us about right from the beginning your trip out to Nodum and East Boulder Mountain and your whole summer working out on that ranch. It was so interesting the way you went on the mail truck and the whole thing.
Yeah. My dad got me a job on East Boulder Ranch, which was his Uncle Myra up Aunt Lily. I was about 13, and that's not far from Escalante. And so they put me on a bus, probably Trailway, and that went to Richfield, Utah. And I got off and spent the night at the Johnson Hotel, and I had a room. I remember I had to go down the hall to the restroom. And in the morning, I had to go over to the post office and get in the back of a pickup truck, which was hauling the mail. And it went out that, my dad had a lot of confidence in me, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And I took that truck, it went way out to Fruta, Nodum. And it got to Nodum. So he told me to get out there. You've seen Nodum, I don't think it's changed in all those years. Just a couple houses with some chickens in the street. So I got out there and I
Literally.
stood there. And pretty soon this wagon drawn by a horse came by and said, "You the Larson boy?" I says, "Yeah." I says, "Oh, I'm supposed to take you out to East Boulder, hop in." And so we rode out about 10 miles. I guess that's how far Nodum was. And there I was on my great adventure for the summer. And I hoed corn. Those rows went all the way to New York and back. By the time you got to the end of one row, the weeds would be coming up at the other end. Yeah, and then they let me drive a hay rake, and I felt like I was really team of horses to rake the hay into rows, I thought that was pretty cool. And then I wasn't very good at milking. Those guys all knew how to milk. And so they told me I could get out of milking if I wanted to just chop wood, because we had a wood stove, twice a day they could lift it. So that was a deal. And then the next day they started their summer canning. They kept 3 of those bounders going all day long,
The stoves, you mean? With wood?
Yeah, I learned that chopping wood. I can remember we ate deer in the middle of the summer, which isn't the season, and they figured it was on their ranch, it belonged to them. I remember a forest ranger coming to dinner, lunch.
Having venison?
Yeah, and they fed him venison, and they didn't have they just had this hanging in a cave. You saw the cave,
Yeah.
I showed you. And so while we were eating, Lily had one of the cowboys take that venison out and take it up to the upper ranch. I don't know what they did with it. So after dinner, the four strangers,
She was afraid
they
he'd
snooped
see it.
around, looked around, thanked them for dinner. There wasn't much they could do about it. And I can remember that we brought water down, you know, ditches to where you had to cross the canyon, and then they'd have wooden flume built across the canyon to get the water to the other side. And that's the way they brought it down off the mountain. And they would leak, and we'd go up there with tar and canvas and repair the flumes.
Is it hot tar or cold tar?
It was 60 years ago, so it'd be cold by now. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't remember.
Tell him about that ride down the road or something, that hay ride down or something where you
No, we
nearly
went up.
lost control.
They sent us up to the upper ranch to bring the chickens down because they were worried about mountain lions or cougars or something. We went up and just picked them out of a tree in the dark like fruit, put them in these cages on the wagon, and when we were going down the mountain, horses got really spooked, and we could see a silhouette of the cat, and being real stupid, we shot at it and everything. Don't know if we ever hit anything. The horses ran down the hill. That's not the story you wanted.
That's a good one.
You're talking about Sir William, the racehorse.
I thought it was the one. Was that the one where you came down the hill and just about?
No, they gave us all a horse to ride, and all I had for me was this old retired horse. It was about twice as tall as any other horse.
Oh yeah.
It was black. It's called Sir William, and they said it had won a bunch of races 100 years ago. And they had a grandson just a year younger than me, but you know, he was hot cowboy type guy, you know, and he had this pinto pony, and so we were up in the upper ranch, and you know, I'm city boy. He wants to race me to the lower ranch, going back, and so okay. Well, I guess he didn't know about this horse I had. And once that horse realized it was in a race, it just took off. And we really going, and here's a fence in front of me. You know, you have to put the gate down and wire it back up.
Jumped over the fence?
Over it, and I stayed on the horse. And this kid come by and had to get off his horse and open the gate, and I got there and I was alive, and he didn't say anything about the race, never challenged me to another one. Yeah, Sir William.
All right, now you have to. The kids really want you to sing just a little bit of
I can't
Petroleum, the Pride of the Plains.
do that. I don't know the words.
Can you just start it out? Do you remember how it started?
I don't know the words of them. There is no tune, so.
I know, we
It's a
don't
little
care
hard to
about
do.
the tune, but what were the words that
Well, why don't
started?
you just write it down sometime instead of doing that?
Well,
Let's see, it goes, petroleum, the pride of the plains, you know, petroleum like oil, black.
all right.
This is, she was swift as an antelope, and black as a crow, and the star on the forehead was white as snow. And anyway, the country was then new, and the Indians were savage and fierce, and the captain was saying that someone must go for help to the border of New Mexico. And let's see, several brave men said straight away here, but the captain looked at me. I was standing quite near, with Petroleum at my side, with her nose in my hand, and the captain said, "Your horse looks the best in the land." And so, proud of my horse, I said, "Captain, you know that Petroleum and I are willing to go." And so, we rode all night or something. And when behind us we heard a fierce yell, and we knew the Indians were riding our trail, and but not for one moment did she lessen her long, powerful stride, or maybe that was later. Anyway, I felt a sharp pain. I knew I'd been shot, you know, and looked down, and blood is gushing from my steed's side. Not for a moment did she lessen her long, powerful stride until we rode safely into the fort or something. And over many a fine horse I've since drawn the rein, but none so fine as Petroleum, the pride of the plain. That's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that around Cowboy Campfire.
When you were up there, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear about the fish market.
Okay, we have to finish first.
Oh.
Sarah says she wants the tears in my eyes. What's the tears in my...
Well, that's one line.
What is it?
That's a cowboy song.
And you learned that one up on the
Well,
ranch
I
too?
only learned one line.
How
I
does
got
it go?
tears in my ears from lying on my back crying over you.
The thing that we miss is you're singing it, which was absolutely hysterical. All right.
Yeah, and then there's the one that Braden liked was, or Matt, was True Blue Bill, and I don't remember all the verses to that.
Oh, I forgot there was True Blue Bill.
Yeah,
What?
guy that never told falsehood, couldn't lie. I can't remember how it goes. It says, I'm a truthful fellow, the folks all call me True Blue Bill. I never told a falsehood, and you can bet I never will. Once in an aeroplane, while flying to Paris, the vain mother balked. So I got out and left the damn thing set up there and walked. And then the chorus goes, oh, I'm a truthful fellow, I never told a lie. I don't know. And then he goes on another line, and there is, once while he was captured by the cannibals and tied up to the trees. They beats their tom-toms, but they said I wouldn't make very good steak because I was too tough. And then I think the concluding line, a bunch of verses like that was, oh, I'm a truthful fellow, I never told a lie. Well, George Washington was my great uncle, so why should I? Anyway, like that.
Oh, crazy. No, what did you
Should
want?
have kept those.
I know we should have.
Yeah, couldn't remember them.
When did you first start working with your dad in the fish market? And how did
You
that
never
go?
did.
I never worked with Dad in the fish market. For some reason, we always thought it'd be better if I worked somewhere else. And so, did I do something wrong?
No, we wish the fan could be on, but it's. we
Oh,
can't.
when my dad, I was, my first semester in school, my dad went to the hospital with peptic ulcers, and
At BYU, when he was at BYU.
and I went home and told him, when I went home, he told me to go shut it down. This was driving him nuts. And it was all he had, so I couldn't do that. So I went down and just started managing the fish market. And it's kind of interesting because most of his clients were, kind of crazy foreign people, And gee, and I just told him my dad's in the hospital and I want to get you what you want, but you're going to have to help me make sure I get the right thing, They were just, like surrogate fathers all of a sudden, So it was really kind of in most cases, a pretty interesting.
Were you
Okay,
18 or
okay.
19?
I must have been 18. So I stayed there a year or two. And we sold it to Beverly Enterprises, a pretty plant in Beverly Hills.
Tell us about the guy that used to collect the money for you.
Pancho. Well, my dad wasn't a very good collector, and he always had a lot of people owing him, and this was right after World War One, and his labor was really a collection of kind of weird people. And Pancho was a Mexican kid that had a cauliflower and a broken nose, a fighter. And he had been in the military and in the army, and one morning his commanding officer went in and he was in his bunk. And he rolled him out of his bunk and he stood up and broke his jaw. So he was discharged and my dad got him. And he was a little strange. But anyway, he looked awful. So when the day's work was done, when his overalls were covered with fish, he had a big hook in his back pocket. I'd say, okay, this is Ciro's restaurant's bill. They haven't paid from way back when. You just go in there when you get through work, sit by the cash register and until they get enough money in to pay it. And oh man, they would scream and holler because they didn't look like that, and he could be so dumb. My boss just said to stay here till I get this, and we would only sell them, and then they'd call me and say, you can get out of there, it's too early in the evening, we don't have that kind of money. And I said, well, can you pay half of it? Yeah, you call him off, I'll give you half. And anyway, we collected a lot of money. Pancho, he was very proud of that.
So tell him about how you used to tease the little kids because you were on a corner.
Yeah, it was fun. We were on a corner and the streetcars went around that corner. And the fish market was a building that had refrigerators and stuff in it. And it had this big enclosed courtyard where we had the trucks and stuff like that. And we locked up at night and we pulled these big doors down. And so there were always these little black kids out there trying to figure out how I got out of that building, And I'd say, now you watch, I just flap my arms and I fly over the gate. And so the streetcar, like every minute, And so I'd pull the gate down, lock it, and I'd go through the building around the corner, walk out the street, and follow the streetcar around. And then I'd stand there, it's past, I'd go, did you see me? Did you see me? I missed it, Anyway, it's a lot of fun. We used to have fun with those kids. But they always thought I could fly over that fence.
Okay, the only other thing you have to tell them about is the big black madam that lived upstairs that protected you.
Yeah.
It was a rough area
Elsie.
of town. Central LA.
Yeah, they call her the gorilla, but not to her face. And she was sober. She wasn't very nice. And she was a little crock. She was pretty good. But she ran House of Ill Repute on our second floor. We were just tenants. We didn't own that building. I don't think. But the problem was we were on the same electric meter, I guess. And so we had a little sub-meter, and every month I had to write down what their charge was and go out and get Elsie to pay. And the crew, I remember, used to always make me show them the money when they came down, that I got paid in the right manner. She ran that part of town.
Horrible.
Yeah. One of our truck drivers said something. She used to lean out the windows kind of bare. And one of our truck drivers said something derogatory, and she says, man, I'm going to get you. And he ran in, asked for his check, and fled. Never came back.
I want to hear how family day.
But she liked you and she protected you,
Yeah,
right?
she told him, leave that white boy alone. Yeah.
I want to hear how Family Day Hermanos got started.
Oh. Well, that was a while ago.
Yeah, when was that? How far back?
18 years, I guess. Well, your brothers came home. They talked about these street kids and stuff. So we thought that'd be a good idea. And where to do it was, my dad had always really liked Guadalajara. He'd gone there on vacations a lot because the climate's so perfect. It doesn't get below 70, it doesn't get above 80, you know. No heating, no air conditioning. I thought, man, that sounded pretty good. So I got a church directory and I wrote to the 3 stake presidents there. That's what it was at that time. And told them we wanted to set up a home for abandoned street children. And could they recommend somebody to act as an agent that had construction experience? And 2 of them answered and sent Delfino's name. So I took Todd. And Delfino couldn't speak any English. I couldn't speak any Spanish. We went down there and met him. Out looking for a piece of land. I don't remember whether we found it the first time or not. And that's kind of how we got started. And then he learned to speak really good English.
Now you spoke pretty good Spanish,
No.
but Mom didn't
No.
think so.
No.
No, I asked Mom. I could talk to the kids. That's about it.
He was like his father. He couldn't conjugate any verb, but he would say the whole verb, and the kids could always understand him.
When your dad worked in Mexico, were you, I guess,
I wasn't born.
you weren't born yet.
No.
Okay, honey, tell us about your mission and where you went and your experiences.
And your call.
Hmm?
Yeah, tell
And
how
your
you
mission
got your
call.
call with your dad. And
Well, I didn't get a
everything.
call for a long time. And I didn't understand it. And so I finally went and talked to Bishop about it because all my buddies younger than me had gone. And he said, well, my dad felt real bad I had to quit school to take over the business, and he'd asked him not to send me on a mission. So I thought, wow,
And his
that's
dad wasn't active at that
kind
time.
of a dirty trick. And so I told him I wanted to go, and when we sold to Beverly Hills, after I sold to them, I went back for an interview again, and I told him I'd like to go as soon as possible. And I had my call 2 weeks after I put my paper in. I mean, I was in the mission home, 2 weeks after I had my call, too. So it went really fast, and my dad was really upset with me because he thought I'd never go back to school.
So he was upset about that.
Yeah, and I told him, Dad, I says, we do that. I said, I'm going back to school. You can count on me going back to school. Just don't even worry about it. And so then he became real supportive. And he and I were both ordained elders the next Sunday by the same man, same chair. They ordained Dad first, and Brother A.K. Berry did it. Then he ordained me. Then Mom and Dad drove me to mission homes in Salt Lake then. We stayed at the Johnson Hotel. And we stopped at the Manti Temple and took out our endowments, and I was a witness of my parents' wedding. So that's cool.
Can we stop just 1 second and change the tape?
Yeah.
How you doing? You wore out by this?
We're
Yeah, I'm
nearly done.
dead, man. Look at me. It's sweating so.
Well, it's kind of hot, but
What's that? Yeah. Okay, tell me when it's go.
Let's go.
All right, so then you're on your mission and you're going to the mission. They dropped you off in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Then what?
I think we had MTC was 5 days. I remember one thing that was interesting there. One of the general authorities came and talked to us. I don't remember which one it was. And he said, now, you're going to get a lot of this polygamy stuff, thrown at you. And he says, we only practice that over one generation. And he read, it's to raise up a righteous generation He says, I just want to point something out to you. And he said, how many here, you missionaries, are descendants of polygamous marriage? He says, less than 3% of the church practiced it, and about 90% raised their hand. He says, well, that makes the point, doesn't it? I always kind of remembered that. I thought, well, maybe there was a reason for it, even though I never did really understand all that.
What did you do mostly on your mission?
Missionary work.
No, you didn't do missionary work. You helped build chapels. And
No,
you were a traveling elder
no,
or something.
I traveled most of the time. Well, in a nutshell, as soon as I arrived, I had a call from the National Guard, which I had been a member of, telling me that I was going to Korea. And I called Salt Lake and said, what do I do? And they said, well, you go to Korea. So I thought, boy, this mission ended in a hurry. It's like the first week. And so I called them back and said, well, where do I report? And they said, they were in Pasadena, sort of near where I lived. And they said, we're going to Oakland. I don't know. Well, you need to report here or there. Why don't you just stay there and I'll call you back and tell you where to report. And they didn't call me back. So I called them back again and I said, he says, I don't know, we can't find your file. So apparently the first time he pulled it, they shipped the file cabinet or something, I don't know. But anyway, I got lost. So he says, just stay there until you hear from us. And so I stayed there for 2 years, another 3 months, and the mission fields got kind of thin because there weren't very many missionaries left. And then I got a call that said, hey, we're back and we find your file. We're back from Korea and we're discharging everybody. And so I got out and I went back to school. I had an extension on my mission for that time, and I joined the Air Force. They got 7 years out of me, so you know, they got my patriotic duty. But my first paycheck was $100 more than anybody else's because of the time I spent serving in the mission field. And I felt really guilty for about an hour. And I always went at highest pay grade. But, you know, I wondered why they never paid me while I was on my mission. Where did I get those
Yeah,
those
where's
checks?
all those funds?
Yeah. But anyway, I didn't. And so, let's see, on my mission, I worked, I went immediately up to north central Texas and worked around Waco and a few towns like that. And then once we placed a lot of Books of Mormon in a blizzard, that was kind of just a fun dare thing to do. And they called me into the mission office because they were so impressed, and I became a traveling elder to teach the new program. And I did that for some months, and then they asked me to serve as mission secretary because I had 1 semester of accounting. And I said to the president, Barring, I said, you know, I'm not capable of doing this. I can't, they were building like 10 chapels, and I was supposed to keep track of the
Funds
funds.
for everything on those 10
And I
channels.
remember he said to me, he said, I'm just not capable of it. He says, don't you think I know that? But you're all I got, so pray and get to work. So anyway, that's really encouraging. And so then after that, we got poisoned that old bout of hepatitis, and then they called me to be a traveling elder again. And see, Noel Taylor was the assistant to the
Is it
president
okay?
or something. Yeah, is it off?
No. That's fine.
So he was my companion for a long time. We traveled together a lot. It was kind of fun. And then I came home. Went back to school, graduated, joined the Air Force,
He
protected
graduated
the
in,
nation, became a hero.
he graduated in 2 3/4 years
Yeah.
in college. Just went straight through as quick as he could.
Was your
BYU.
dad glad you finished school?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to tell your children and your grandchildren your testimony a little bit?
It's kind of hard to do it this way, huh?
I know.
Do you have a testimony, Wyatt? How old are you?
7.
You're going to be 8 pretty soon, and you're going to get baptized. And I'll bet you have a testimony then. I think I've always had a testimony. I don't think I ever remember when they said, when I didn't have a testimony, I just always believed it was true. I always believed that Joseph Smith got those plates and translated them, and I always believed that Jesus was the Christ, and he's going to atone for all my sins, I hope, and that we ought to be following the counsel of the prophets, and that your grandmother's one of the sweetest, cutest things that ever lived. That's part of my testimony too.
Glad he likes you, Mom.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
yeah.
It's
Tell-
nice. It's nice to feel secure in his love.
Yeah.
Tell us about when your kids were born. Starting with Ty.
Gee, I can't remember that far back.
You can't remember things like that.
Yeah.
What do you
Ty-
remember
Hey.
when I say
Ty
Ty?
was born like 9 months a day after we got married. And let's see, Marilyn, I always had an easy time. She didn't know she was pregnant. She thought she was having an attack of appendicitis or something.
Yeah, I did with him, didn't I?
Yeah, but then we had Ty instead. He was cute. He was a cute kid. I remember I used to take him over to the officer's swimming pool with me, and I think maybe that's why I didn't like swimming. He grew
Because you
up.
made him swim.
Yeah, he seemed to like it as a little baby, but when he got older, he didn't care for it much. Yeah. So was that the question? Oh,
Well, my-
kids.
Yeah, when your
Well,
kids were
then,
born.
while we were still there, we had Wayne, and she had him on a gurney in the hall because
Feet-
she was
feet first.
impatient.
Sticking
And
out.
then Todd, we waited till we got to California, and I decided to get out of the Air Force. But he was due, so we took, rather than have me pay my month's leave, I took the month's leave. So I got paid anyway, I was just off. And he was born during that period, so he only cost us $25.
I think Ty was only 10 or something like
Yeah,
that.
they're all about that somewhere.
Yeah.
It didn't cost us much.
Because they were all in the, those three were in the Air Force.
And then I was out. And in the Air Force, I was macho, heroic, night fighter type, instructor type guy.
Okay,
Hey, give
tell us.
us a brief review of your business ventures.
Wait a minute, he has to finish
Finish
the
the
other
kids.
kids.
Oh,
Oh, we did have more. Yeah, after Todd, let's see, we went to, we didn't have any for a long time after Todd.
Yeah, about 4 years.
We went to,
Todd wore us out.
we went to work for hospital planning. We had Scotty and then Sarah and then
Sherry.
I mean. Then we moved out here and had Mark and Sarah, and then we quit.
He was always willing to have kids, and I
Yeah.
was grateful for that.
Yeah,
Because he was an old dude when he had Sarah. He was in his 50th year.
yeah.
Not many guys would have said yes to that.
Yeah.
all right. Give us a brief review of your business ventures.
Well, already started. I sold
Right.
Johnny jump ups and cans and
We went through all that.
grass and flats.
Yeah.
I worked for the newspaper and the theater and the malt shop and on a ranch.
When we were out of the Air Force. Start
I
there.
had a gardening service as a kid. Then I went in the Air Force.
Yeah, start there.
While I was at school, to support myself at school, I made candy by the pound. I got paid by the pound.
Oh, you told me
In a
that.
candy shop. All right, I'll
Yeah.
do that again. And then,
It's because Ty's here. He didn't hear the first part. Start when you got out of the Air Force.
when I got out of the Air Force, I bought a franchise to build swimming pools. I had built swimming pools working for Wayne Steinley before I went to the Air Force. And it didn't work out. So I didn't do that long. And then I got offered a job with hospital planning and engineering to help them find financing. Because their friend was Wayne Steinley, who I'd helped build swimming pools, and he thought I was a hard worker, and he thought I knew all about that because I had a degree in finance. So I went to work for them, got their financing, and then, I don't remember the sequence. I think I quit and got a car wash, and that was no fun, so I sold it. And I went to work for H. Cabot Jones Mortgage, and then at hospital engineering asked me to come back and be their general manager. And then I did that. And then I sold that company for them to Cinco Instruments. And
Was he
quit.
the one that had? Was Cinco Instruments the one that started you on the hospital thing?
No,
No.
Willie Chan.
Okay, he wasn't connected with that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, 30 days after I quit, I sold my first hospital as a broker to Willie Chan. Then I sold about 36 of them over the next 4 years to mostly to him, 20 of them at least to him. And so,
Office.
okay, after hospitals, what did I do? We bought the ranch in Escalante and raised dairy replacement cattle. That worked out pretty good for about 4 years. And then sold the ranch and became partners with Gert Jensen, Dan Madsen, and built the Sacramento Scandia. And then we built another one in Fairfield. And then we split up. And Dan, Gert took the Fairfield one, and I took the Sacramento one. That's kind of an oversimplification. And then we went on, and Ty, with the help of Dan, built Vegas, and then he built Victorville, and then he built Ontario, and now he's going to put a ride in up at Victorville, he tells me. And there we are, the story of my life.
So, Scandia.
Yeah,
Tell us what you think about Scandia.
it's been fun. It's provided for this family very well. Provided for all the kids and their education, their homes and babies, and it's been good to us. And Ty built it all.
Did you talk
Scandia.
about selling the beef?
Yes, he did.
All right.
No, I didn't talk about selling beef.
You said that you did it. You had got the ranch at Escalante, but you
Oh
should
yeah, I didn't tell about
having
the
them here.
cattle that didn't get pregnant. We found you couldn't get anything for them, so we would sell those direct in the green sheet down here, and we'd have them butchered to order and iced up and load the van from floor to ceiling and drive as fast as we could to the storage house in San Bernardino, and then the kids would take a couple days delivering those sides.
Tell them
Would have
how.
been a good business.
Yeah, tell them how the calves we raised.
Yeah, the
The
calves
calves,
we raised in Redlands. That didn't work out so well.
Well, we always got carried away with stuff. Which adventure are you talking about?
In the
When we
in the
build all
dairy,
these
when
calf
we
things
had
out
those
here on the
50,
Yeah, we
field.
put-
100 calves.
We started each kid raising one calf, and then they kind of multiplied. Then we actually went out in the canyon and rented a chicken farm and had a bunch of them in there. And the dust was hard on them or something there that didn't work. Then we started raising them on the ranch in Escalante. Actually got up to 900 head at one time. Crazy, huh? But the funny thing was it was a good operation. It was profitable.
Yeah.
We learned the secret in farming is the marketing. The guy that sells it's the guy that makes it, not the guy that grows it.
Yeah. Well, honey, we love you.
And I love you too. So this is farewell.
No. Anything you want to tell your kids and grandkids?
Huh?
Anything you want to tell your kids and grandkids?
Oh, I think I've told them all again and
I
again.
think your life has been.
I'm really lucky to have the kids I got and the grandkids I got. They're pretty special. It's because of the woman I married, I guess. She's pretty special.
And all the people they married are special.
Yeah, they married some really peaches. Well, some of them anyway. Not really. And yeah, I love them all. Yeah,
And you're all right about checking out.
yeah. I think it's 11 o'clock checkout or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
Well, that was awful good of you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.